Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today we are going to be pressure canning using the Presto Precise electric pressure canner. We're going to pressure can some chicken bone broth. So I shared on a recent video that I was using my own canned broth to can some butternut squash soup mix, and I realized I was down to 2 quarts. So I'm a little shy of quart jars, and I've also noticed that sometimes I really don't need a full 2 quarts. So I decided to use a 1.5 quart jar, which we will be processing as a quart jar. So in front of me here, I did not show you this part before, but this is the beautiful Presto electric pressure canner. And I have put in here 3 quarts of water, a little bit of vinegar, and then you fill your jars halfway with water. And we are going to start warming our jars because our broth is also warm. So it does come with this laminated quick guide. So it says, pour 3 quarts of water in, insert the power cord, pressure can will flash. Tip you down here. Press the control knob to select pressure can mode. 10 minutes lights up. And you want to rotate it to the right time. So in the ball canning book on page 399, it says process quart jars for 25 minutes. So we're simply going to turn this up to 25. Press the enter key, and it says insert jars. And you want to remove the regulator. Now, I will share with you, I have a terrible time getting this regulator off. And it's probably operator error, but it kind of screws on. So pull that off and put the cover on and lock. So you lower the arm, twist this, and then press the enter key and warm lights up. I don't know how well you can read it. So we've got our jars washed and cleaned. Now we're warming them up. So y'all don't judge my cabinet now. Oh, good, you can't see it. Let me take you over here and show you what I've been doing for the last 24 hours. So over here, I have my Ball Fresh Tech canner. And I've shared before, one of the reasons that I'm going to electric instead of using my stove is because A, I have a glass top stove, and B, it's really hurting my back lifting those heavy canners. So look at this, y'all. Oh, I don't know if my cord will reach. Let me take you off here. Look at this beautiful broth. So what I did yesterday, so almost 24 hours ago, is I put in some carrots, some celery, and some really ginormous chicken legs that I received about a year ago from the food pantry that have been in my deep freeze. So they needed to be cooked. They were not freezer burnt in any way. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out because I am going to take the meat off of them and either refreeze the cooked meat, or I'm going to make some veg soup. And you may notice I'm pulling out pieces of onion. So I used, I don't know, a couple onions, maybe ½ pound of carrots, and 3 or 4 stalks of celery. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So far I have 7 chicken legs. Let's see if that's all of them. Doesn't feel like it. Okay, that's it. So the beauty I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. What I did was I filled it completely full of water, brought it up to a boil, turned it down to a simmer, and let it simmer all night to pull all of the goodness and the flavor out of the chicken skin, out of the meat, as well as out of the bone. So as soon as our jars are warmed, we can bring them over, and the beauty of this is it has a spout. Now, will it get clogged with veg? Eventually, when it gets low enough, and then we can simply ladle it out, or we can use that really good, very rich broth that has a lot of dissolved type vegetables in it to make our soup a little bit later today. So let's wait on the canner to beep, and then I will start pulling out jars, and I will show you the entire process of how to use the Presto Precise electric pressure canner. Stay tuned. So by popular request, hello from Frankie. Look at the pretty kitty. He was sleeping, so you want to get down? Why don't you tell the people hello? Sometimes he'll say hello. No? Okay. Here you go, Popeye. All right, gonna wash my hands. Our canner has beeped twice, so we can lift the latch, pull the lid. Just gonna set this over here. And now we're ready to start filling our jars. So I'm hoping that I can get 3, 6, 7 pint and a half, or yes, pint and a halves out. So let me bring you over here and show you that filling is just as easy as pouring the spout. Now, if you want your broth completely clear, you will want to strain it. I'm not interested in that. I'm not worried about the little bit of cloudiness that I have. It's not quite full enough. I'm going to do it to the bottom band right here. Then I will clean my rims. No need to debubble. Put a lid and a ring on it, set it in the canner, and continue the process. I will bring you back when we have the canner full. Stay tuned. Just to give you an idea what the pint and a half jars look like, much thinner than a quart. So I am able to get 3, 6, 7 in. So we're going to put our lid on and go back to our directions. So after we fill the jars, place the cover on the canner and lock. So you lower the arm, twist the green latch, confirm that the regulator is not on the cover, press the enter key, and it is going to start heating up. Once the proper temperature is reached, then this will change to vent in 10 minutes. So it's automatically going to vent for us. Once the venting has finished, I will bring you back. In the meantime, y'all, I have so much broth left. Let me see here. I didn't even get through half. So I'm gonna wash up some more jars. I knew this was gonna be a long process. I do have this turned off. The jars were warm, the water was warm, the broth is very warm. So if it gets too cool, I can simply turn it back on. Very simple. So this process has gotten to be so much easier than what I used to do, of trying to do it on the stove, trying to run it through cheesecloth, which you can still do. The cheesecloth, you would just take your jar, like put a funnel on it, drape cheesecloth over it. It's just very messy. So I've learned that having a little bit of vegetable in there does not hurt anything. I try to fish anything out that I possibly can, but it may make a sediment in your broth, and it really makes it taste good. So I did not put any salt in here. You can put salt in, you can put peppercorns in, you can put any spices in that you want. I like just pure and plain chicken broth so that I can use it in any application without altering the taste of what I'm about to cook. So, y'all, it is 5:07 in the morning. At 1:15, Frankie was like, Mom, it's emergency. I need you to get up right now. I was like, go lay down and go night-night, because he knows what that means, right? He'll usually go to his side of the bed and go to sleep. Oh, no. So I finally gave up and got up, and I'm like, what's wrong with Frankie? Well, y'all, Frankie's fat cat, so I have been reducing his food, and his food dish, like he ate every little crumb, which usually he won't. Yeah, he was hungry, so I fed him. I couldn't help myself, so I guess he's gonna be a little chubby like his mom. All right, I'll bring you back when our venting is complete. So as you hear, our canner's beeping, and it tells you right on the screen, put the regulator on. So we're gonna put that on. And right here is we push enter, is the pressure relief valve. It will be popping up. So we have 25 minutes on the canner. I will bring you back when our canner has finished to show you what you do next. I will do my best here to hold the camera steady. But as you see, it says done. It's beeped 10 times. So looking at our directions over here, it says when the time expires, it'll beep 10 times, done lights up. Press and hold the X for 3 seconds. Confirm the air vent cover lock has dropped. Unlock and lift sensor arm removed cover. Okay, so let's hit the X for 3 seconds. And you see it's back to ready to go. Here's the pressure valve. It has dropped. So you simply twist and lift this arm. And then carefully remove your lid, of course going away so the steam doesn't burn you. Oop, here I'm sealed. Oh my goodness. Well, it's cold in the house, y'all. So, yeah, they're sealing. I think all of them sealed. So let's get these out and we'll go for a second load. I just had to show you this. Frankie's doing his favorite pastime. And this is my arrow garden, which is not in use right now, but it's a great place to have it when I am ready to use it. But he spends lots and lots of time looking out this window. So even though it's got some wrinkles in it, which you can really see with the lighting, I love that he can sit there, not freeze to death with the plastic on the window. All right, y'all. So first load is out. All of them sealed. You heard as soon as I raised the lid. It's 66 degrees in the house, which I don't think is cold. I do have on short sleeves, but I threw this hoodie on to go take care of the girls this morning. But look at this. I'm gonna just lift it up with the jar lifter. I don't want to handle it a lot. Look at this beautiful broth. Now, you see the particles floating? That is from the vegetables. So if you want a pure, clear broth, just take a piece of cheesecloth when you're using your spout and pour it through the cheesecloth. I figure there's vitamin goodness in there. I did want to tell you, I tasted the veg and it is absolutely tasteless, so I got all the good out of it, which is great. I'm gonna go ahead and do the second load. And so now you know how to use the canner. Y'all, how simple is that? Like, I didn't have to sit right here. I could go out and look at the chickens. I didn't have to worry about maintaining the heat exactly and precisely where it has to be to keep X pounds of pressure. It does this automatically for you. I love it. So I'm gonna continue on here, and then if the video isn't too long, I'm going to make a soup because I want to show you what I got out of the chicken legs. So I further strained the broth. Found another chicken leg. Look at all this. I mean, that's a pretty good sized bowl. So I have a few options. I can can it, and I tried to tear it off, you know, in fairly sizable pieces. So I may can it. The only dilemma is, of course, canning meat is a much longer process than the broth, but let's see how it comes out. I want to make kind of an old-fashioned recipe that I got out of a 1967 Better Homes and Gardens cookbook that I'm going to change up a little bit, but it will use the chicken, the broth, and a few other ingredients that I happen to have on hand in the pantry. So stay tuned. One other quick item. So I've washed jars. I am going to use some quarts because I only have 2 more of these. These come in a pack of 9. Pardon me. But this water is really, really hot compared to the jars, especially because it's a little chilly in the house. I haven't turned the heat on yet. Drop me a comment below. Are you toughing it out? We're supposed to be like 73, 74 today and tomorrow, so my house has been plenty warm. It's been almost to 70 in the afternoon. But what I do is I ladle out some of the really hot water, and then I just put cold water in so that it's kind of lukewarm, and then go through the warming process so you don't have to worry about the jars. The other thing I've been meaning to say, why am I canning broth? Well, the chicken was free. The onions, I used 2 onions, you know, so maybe 50 cents for the onions, maybe 50 cents for half pound of carrots, and the celery, you know, let's just say a couple dollars is what I have in this, plus the electricity and the time, but my time isn't worth much nowadays, and I love to can. So instead of paying $3 a quart, which this is a quart, this is a pint and a half, so it actually takes 3 of these to make 2 pints. So right now I've got 2, 4, about 5, the equivalent of 5 pints, and I've got at least that much, if not more, in the canner. Okay, one of these is $2.98, and this is the Great Value chicken broth, but I wanted to read the ingredients to you if I can find them. Chicken broth contains less than 2% of salt. Now, I didn't put any salt in mine. You certainly can. Natural flavors. That's a real dilemma. What's a natural flavor? Is it a chemical? You know, you just don't know what that means. Yeast extract, chicken fat, carrot juice concentrate, onion juice concentrate, celery juice concentrate. So they're not even using fresh veg and cooking it. So which tastes better? I'm telling you, this tastes delicious. I made soups with it. I've used it to cook rice. Anything you're going to add water that's a savory dish, you can add this too. So it's definitely worth my time. Don't laugh, y'all. This expired 11/21 because I keep going to my home canned. Will I use that? If it's still good, I'm sure it is. I'll smell it, taste it, make sure it's fine. Yes, I will still use it. Probably in combination with one of my jars. All right, I'm going to get back to work. I will see y'all in a little bit. So first, y'all, let me apologize. I kept saying that they were 1.5 jars. They're actually a 3/4 quart or a pint and a half because there's 2 pints in a quart. So my apologies. There's 3 cups in the tall skinny jars. So I have everything out of the canner, my second batch. I ended up with 9 3/4 quarts, 3 1 quarts, so lots and lots. But I wanted to show you something as well. I wanted to show you down in the canner. See how nice and clear that water is? So I have had 0 siphoning. I think just my experience, and I've only done 2 types of food. I'm about to do the 3rd. I don't have the siphoning that I often did on the stove. Why that is, I can't explain it. But literally when I take the lid off, and you heard it pop, 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 I usually let it set a little bit longer than I did in the first part of the video. I like to let it set 10 minutes, but they're all sealing before I ever get them out of the canner, so that's great too. All right, so now what are we going to do? I am going to ladle out some of the hot water and put in room temperature water to cool it down because I don't want to crack my jars. I have decided I'm going to can up some of the chicken that we pulled off the bone. I've tasted it and it is delicious. I'm not normally a fan of dark meat chicken, but this is really good. I also would ask, would you do me a favor and drop me a comment below? So this year's going to be a little bit different for me as far as Thanksgiving goes because my mom is not able to really participate and she's uncomfortable leaving the facility. So, crybaby. I am not going to be having a traditional Thanksgiving because my son has to work, so I'm not going to cook just for me, right? However, I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about preparing a turkey because I have one in the freezer and I covet the space that the thing's taking up. But would you all enjoy a video about roasting a turkey and then how to can the leftovers? Because that's basically what I'm going to do. I am not a fan of turkey, but I think I would use canned turkey meat in soups and maybe even just for like turkey salad. So I could make a really good broth out of the bones and have some more broth, but I'm going to have to buy some jars if y'all can believe that. So drop me a comment and let me know, would you like to see a turkey type video? All right, I'm going to pause you for a minute. I'm sorry, I knew those hiccups were coming. And for those of you who are new, y'all have chronic hiccups, and I actually, my record is 36 hours straight, but that had to do with having surgery. So usually it's just 1 or 2 hiccups and it's gone, but it persists throughout the day. All right, I'm going to get busy here. I'll bring you back to show you how to can some cooked chicken meat. I do have the broth heating up because I'm going to hot pack it. So hold tight and I'll be right back. I'm really not sure how much is left in here compared to how many jars. So I just filled the canner. I do have 1 quart because I'm out of wide-mouth pints. I don't have that much chicken, but I may have that much broth. So my jars are warmed and I am just going to start packing the chicken, which you can't see, into the jar. Personally, I like big pieces so it does not get mushy. I tried not to shred it really fine. These chicken legs had a lot of meat on it. So you don't want to pack it too tight, but you want to fill the jar. And we need to save some of this chicken for our delicious soup coming up. So you want to give yourself about 1 inch headspace, which is to the bottom of the rings. I'm just going to top it off here with the very hot broth. And the instructions say we're going to do a 65-minute processing time, so I am going to debubble. And you definitely want to make sure your rims are good and clean. I am using vinegar. I still soak my lids in warm water. I don't cook them or boil them. And what I've found with this canner is it does warm the jars, but it's not like screaming hot. I don't even find I need the jar lifter for the warming phase, if that's helpful to you. So, we may only get about 3 pints because, like I said, we want to save some for our soup, which I've started over on the stove, and I promise it'll be quick. So yeah, we we might get 3 pints out of this. But that's a great soup starter. You could even do chicken and dumplings with it. If you don't have broth, you can use water, hot water, to hot pack your chicken. The whole point is I want the chicken broth because it really tastes, I think, so much better when you use the broth. Now, I am going to be loading the canner with a couple products. You know, some of the chicken and then some of the broth. And they have different processing times, but it's not going to hurt the broth, the quality of the taste, to heat longer. If it was reversed and the meat took less time, I would be concerned about it, but I'm not concerned about processing broth a little bit longer. All right, this is going to leave us plenty for the soup. Here we go. Let me fill this jar right quick. You know, I don't think I debubbled that last jar. I'll have to take a peek at it. You don't want a bunch of air inside your jar. So I'm just going to continue filling the canner. I'm going to bring you back and show you quickly, and it will be quick, I promise y'all, this delicious soup idea that I think you'll really like. It's easy, it's economical, and anyone can do it. I'll be back. We're ready to start our soup. I have the canner loaded, and yes, I'm going to have to do another canner full. So I'm going to have to roust up some jars. Excuse me. So I found this at the Goodwill. So I paid, I think at the time, $2.99 is what their hardcovers were. It's a 1967 Favorite Ways with Chicken, Turkey, Duck, and Game Birds. And I found this recipe, if I turn that off, for simple and special soups. It's under quick chicken chowder, and it calls for some of the ingredients we have been preparing. So it calls for the chicken stock. I'm going to give you the exact recipe, but I'm not going to do it that way. So a 1/4 cup of chopped celery. I don't like celery. Leave that out. A teaspoon of instant minced onion and a tablespoon of butter. So what you're to do is saute your instant onion. And you have to remember, a lot of these books were utilizing new convenience foods. Set this off the burner here. You know, to make things simpler, quicker. An 8-ounce package of frozen green peas and potatoes with cream sauce. Okay, I don't have that, but I have potatoes and I have peas, and I can make a cream sauce. 1 3/4 cups of chicken broth, 2/3 cup evaporated milk, and then rosemary and a cup of diced chicken. So I thought, well, how wonderful. No wonder that's wet. Good grief. And if you're wondering over here what I'm diffusing, I am diffusing some thieves oil. I forgot to say in my video, you can diffuse it in your diffuser, and it really promotes immunity. All right, I'm gonna leave that at that. So what I did was I took 3 potatoes. One was ginormous, 2 were like regular size, and I am boiling those in the chicken broth that we've created in our canning. So I had taken that out earlier, and as you see, it's steaming, and I'm gonna let that come to a boil. It takes about 20 minutes, maybe a little less, for those potatoes to get tender. I took the onion that I didn't use in my stock, so I had about a half onion left over, and I'm like, perfect, I'm just gonna dice it up. I have minced onion, I'm not gonna use that. Cooked it in a little rosemary infused olive oil from my son. And once this comes to a boil, I will add the hot onions, and we'll let those potatoes get tender, and I'll bring you back and we'll finish up our cream soup. Stay tuned. Our potatoes are now fork tender. So I've added the onion. I'm gonna add in the chicken. And I had the end of a bag of peas, so I'm going to add that in and get that warming up. I'll bring you back once it's warm to talk about next steps. We're almost done with our soup. So I have added, after tasting, some salt, some pepper, and rosemary. You could add poultry seasoning, you could add sage, whatever you like in your soup. So let me pull you over here a little bit. It's looking delish. But I am going to add some evaporated milk and make this more of a cream soup. So I'm eyeballing everything, y'all, just till it looks right. But this is actually a very hearty, protein-packed, delicious soup. All the greenish color you see is homegrown rosemary. And let's get a spoon and taste it, and I'll give you my opinion. Oh, y'all, super good. Now, you could thicken it by making a roux. I'm not looking for a really thick soup. I just wanted it a little bit richer than what it was. And I'll use the rest of the evaporated milk in my coffee so it won't go to waste. Our canner is clicking away. I'm going to have some lunch, and I'll bring you back for just some final thoughts. Stay tuned. Finally have the last load in the canner processing. So I am going to end up with, let me show you, the 3 jars of beautiful canned chicken in the equivalent of 12.5 quarts of good homemade chicken stock that was made with bone-in chicken. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope maybe it gave you some inspiration for inexpensive ways that you can stretch your dollar. I ended up with everything I made today using 5 pounds of chicken legs, which didn't cost me anything, but for price figuring, 5 pounds of that, 2.5 onions, about half a pound of carrots, 3/4 stalks of celery, some leftover frozen peas, part of a can of evaporated milk, a little bit of salt, pepper, seasonings. I have 7 cups of leftover soup, so I will enjoy that as leftovers for many days to come. Don't forget to leave me a comment below about the turkey. Go ahead and smash that like button if you enjoyed today's content. And until I see you again, be healthy, be well, be blessed, take care.